honestly, there's no reason to delay talking about the solicits in this case, I think, because there's some interesting tidbits, and not only just because of what's happening, what books are back, which books aren't back, and what books are doing that is different, because there is kind of a different strategy here in a couple of ways. I think before we even get to the titles, the two sort of details we have to talk about is that double shipping is done. There is no double shipping books at all in this lineup, and that some of the books, mainly the ones that were double shipping, the bigger titles, and including Superman in Action, even though they weren't technically double shipping before, but they were once upon a time. They're kind of in that range. Those are all $5 books with backups now, as opposed to having 2 issues a month. And I'm sure we're both going to have opinions on this, but certainly it seems like DC are trying something different. And what's notable about it is that, to give the example of Justice League, the backup in that is now where Justice League Dark is. So there's going to be a 10-page Justice League Dark by Ram V story every month as part of that issue instead of its standalone book. Which to me says that they want to try and experiment with essentially taking books that aren't selling as much as the big titles and giving them a place to exist, and maybe getting more people to try them out because they're just included with their book. Now, of course, the flip side to that, and the flip side that I've seen Cora complain about all week on the social medias, because he's, loud.
This is what happens when he can't read comics because his computer's down, because he's the only person I know that reads comics on his computer.
I go back and forth between my tablet and my computer, but
yeah, I couldn't. I have to have it in my hand. That's why I'm glad I have a tablet.
Yeah, but he's mad that he feels forced to pay $1 extra for something he might not want. He's also mad that Justice League Dark, a book he really loves, is now attached to a Bendis book. More on that later when we get to the solicit. But so these aren't necessarily, as much as I'm making fun of him for being a negative little Nancy who will never shut up whining, because he is, but they aren't necessarily invalid complaints. But at the same time, I do actually kind of appreciate that DC are trying something different to give these smaller selling books a chance to exist in a form that might actually give them some longevity.
Yeah, well, and that's also shrinking their line a little bit, but making it like still feel big.
Yeah,
right?
it's definitely a small. It's definitely a small. Because I looked through the March and I sort of mapped out what it was week to week. These are some small weeks, and it's okay. Sure, a couple of the books are $1 extra. But the actual overall amount you're spending, even if you were buying every DC title in March, is much less than when it was before.
Right, which for me, who I'm trying to collect less and spend less, that's great. But on the same hand, though, so like you brought up, like some of the ones that were double shipping are going up $1.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Superman in Action, and those both have larger page counts. So if it's just a page count thing, then I think it's still kind of smart. Because you're still getting, you're getting $1 for an extra 10 pages with a 10-page story in it, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like,
I prefer a slightly bigger issue to 2 issues, I think, as well.
Right, but yeah, so you're getting a slightly bigger Superman for $1 more in an Action Comics, but over at Batman, it has a backup with Robin.
Just to confirm, though, Superman Action do have backups.
They do?
Yeah.
It didn't. It's not popping up on this one, I don't think.
I'll explain what they are when we get there. But I'm looking at Superman right now. There is a backup.
Shoot. Well then.
It was.
Then that wasn't double shipping, and now they're switching things up.
Well, that's why I said it's basically the double shipping books plus Superman in Action.
Oh, I see it. I completely skimmed over that. Damn. Well, I just wanted Superman to feel special.
I mean, I think. I like it in some respects. I get why it could be frustrating. What's interesting is that even the backups that are in a lot of these stories are actually also continuing some of the minis from Future State. It's not just the main teams and the main stories. So that is actually pretty interesting. That everything seems to be somewhat relevant. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. It's definitely less books. That said, though, I mean, they could be doing this in waves where, maybe in April or May we get a couple more books added. Because even though with some of them going up a little bit, because there's less books overall, and because all the double shippings are now single shipping, it's actually still quite small overall. Where honestly, once I cut out a couple of books that I'll no doubt end up not liking that much, like I probably will want a few more. So sure, come the next couple of months after this, but at least in March, like I'll basically try everything because there's just a small enough amount of books that I don't see why I wouldn't. Unless there's a creative team or something that I just absolutely despise, in which case, fair enough. But so without further ado, let's work through what these are, because they're all obviously new, or at least changing things up in some way. So the first thing is we actually have a one shot. Well, I say it's a one shot.
It's a zero.
I mean, they say it's a one shot. I suspect this is something that might come back with a miniseries later, as an event or something. But we have Infinite Frontier issue 0, obviously conjuring the memory of the New Frontier and things like that.
Infinite Crisis. It's like DC smashed their two main words together.
Yeah, pretty much. So. Plus, Infinite Frontier kind of follows on from Future State as well in a weird way. It feels like it's kind of tying in. So it's got its big
up towards the future.
It's got this big 2-page cover, this wraparound cover with a bunch of characters, both new and old Batman, and all a lot of the characters you'd expect to see.
You have a new and old Superman there. You have our two normal Flashes. You have a new Flash. Nightwing, Booster, Blue Beetle, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, Starfire, not front and center, but she's towards the center there, so that's cool.
I suspect that we will, some of these newer characters I'm sure we'll know a bit more about from Future State once we've read that, but this is a $6, 64-page anthology book, obviously with a variety of stories. This feels like it's kind of like, in the same way that we're ending a lot of Metal in Future State with, Generations Shattered and these big 80-page things that are kind of wrapping up all these various beats. This sounds like it's kind of kickstarting the new era, whatever it may be. I don't quite want to say it's, the caliber of DC Rebirth. I don't think it's that big, but... No,
but we're getting, banners across the top of books.
Yeah.
With Infinite Frontier on there, so it's similar.
Yeah, so the teams in this, we have Scott Snyder, Jeff Johns, James Tynion IV, Joshua Williamson, Jeffrey Thorne, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Brian Michael Bendis, Becky Cloonan, Michael W. Conrad, Joel Jones, and Tim Sheridan, all in the writing side of things in that book.
So basically, if you have a solo series, you're contributing to this.
Pretty much. Although notably, Johns does not have a solo series right now.
No, but you notice who's also pretty center to that is Stargirl. So...
That is true. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what he ends up. The one thing he's doing for the next little while is a Stargirl book.
Right.
What I will say is Joshua Williamson. I'll just add this on here because I don't think he has like a proper book later on. Is that he was teasing on Twitter this week that he does have some big DC plans for later in 2021. It's too early to reveal what they are right now. So
which that's pretty cool, and he can probably focus on his creator-owned stuff, because I noticed he does that. Where he'll get, he'll do a lot of DC stuff and then he'll fall back, because like Nailbiter returned, Nailbiter Returns is the name of the book. But yeah, so I'm excited for whatever he's doing. He's a name. I'm so happy to see his name now. Like, to go from him in Rebirth going like, oh, who's this Josh Williamson guy? Like, well, I know him from Birthright, but what else does he do? To now he's, headlining DC stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, plus it's just kind of reassuring as well that, even with this smaller line, there's more things planned later in the year in some capacity. So, I'm sure they'll let us get like accustomed to this new lineup for a month or two and then start sprinkling in other things. But the art team is a list of names. I won't bother reading them all out, but I'll just say I'm disappointed that right at the end of the list, John Romita Jr.'s name is mentioned.
Yeah. Real quick, just about the writer, something I noticed. There's, Jeff Johns spelled in his way. Is there going to be room for two Jeffs spelled that way at DC? Because you have Jeffrey Thorne.
Well, he's Jeffrey though. He's going with full title.
Yeah, but like, I feel like there's heat there with no evidence to go off it. There's a room for Crisis of Infinite Jeffs.
I wouldn't be surprised if he goes by Jeff, but when he started working at DC, he said, you know what, just call me Jeffrey so that I'm more distinct. I want to be distinct from the other one.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I'll read the description for this
names, one. Yeah, some big names in the art, though, which is pretty cool. And then JR, and you're like,
yes.
Oh.
I'll read the description for this one since it is this kind of standalone thing. Once I stop dying, that is... Pardon me. The next phase of the DC universe begins here. Dark Knight's death metal presented one of the darkest threats to DC Multiverse. DC Future State revealed what may lie ahead. Now it's time to look into the infinite frontier of the current day DC universe. In Gotham City, the Joker jolts citizens awake with an attack even the Dark Knight never expected. In Brazil, a young woman discovers her destiny and her connection to the Amazons. In Belle Reve, Amanda Waller plots an invasion of Arkham Asylum. In the far reaches of space, Mongol dreams of galactic domination, while the Green Lantern Corps hosts a summit of the greatest enemies. At the Hall of Justice, the League joins forces with Black Adam. Beyond the mortal world, Wonder Woman settles into a new role in the God Sphere. And somewhere in the DC universe, the return of Stargirl in an all-new tale written by Jeff Johns. Which seems like it's probably going to be setting something up.
Mm-hmm.
So this feels like it's super important. This feels like if you care about the DC universe at all, you have to read this.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm okay with.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, I'm cool with that.
As a DC nerd, like that's where I'm at. And it says how much is this book? It's $6.
$6, yeah.
That's not bad for $6.
No. If anything, I'm just concerned that there's like almost too many stories. Going by the list of artists and writers, there's just too many stories for 64 pages, which makes me think some of them are going to be like 3 or 4 pages each. But other than that, like, I'm excited to see where we're going. So, of course I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, so there's 11. So if you were splitting it equally, it'd be 8.
It is worth mentioning,
8 pages per, but yeah,
it wouldn't be out of a regular, especially right now. There's been so many stories between Metal and Generations and stuff that have been Snyder, Williamson, and Tynion co-writing.
They might just be working. Yeah, might just be there.
So there could be a couple of combinations where people are, co-writing and whatnot, but especially if it's leading to something they're all working together with. So that is that. A new book we've got going here is Batman Urban Legends issue 1. Now this sounds like it's a third Bat book, which is a prestige format. It is $8, 64 pages, and it seems like the idea of this is to have a lot of shorter stories every month that are all taking place in the sort of the Gotham world with Gotham characters, and letting them all be sort of, so this is kind of like, instead of having 2 or 3 other Bat books, it's having one that's where they're all maybe like 10 to 15 pages each bundled together as a sort of, here's your third more all-encompassing Bat book.
Yeah, they're jumping into the anthology side of things,
which I actually think sounds really cool, and I think it's a really good way to maybe for us to get things like our Batgirl story and like this type of thing. I have to admit, the creators sound interesting. The actual list of stories in the description doesn't excite me that much, barring one, unfortunately. But I will give it a try. So we have Chip Zdarsky, Matthew Rosenberg, so that's 2 Marvel traditional writers there, I'm noticing. Stephanie Phillips and Brandon Thomas are the writers. Eddie Barrows, Marcus Toe, Ryan Benjamin, Laura Braga, and Max Dunbar on the art. So we have so there's a bit of a generic description of just what the book is. The idea that this is the Gotham City, the urban legends of the Bat, blah blah. So the 4 stories that are in here, and it's 64 pages. It does put them roughly in the kind of 15-ish page, so just a bit shorter than a full issue each, but reasonable size, not too short either. We have Chip Zdarsky entering Gotham City with celebrated Detective Comics and DC Future State Robin Eternal artist Eddie Barrows. I think we mainly know him from the detective run from Tynion. This is a 6-part story chronically in Red Hood. This is I was really excited about Zdarsky. It's like, Red Hood. Okay. But he's investigating a new drug sweeping through Gotham. It's a night that will change his life forever and put him in Batman's crosshairs. So I'm conflicted on that. I like the creators. Character, not so much.
Yeah. At least it's not a full book, though.
That's true.
Where we feel like,
And it's Zdarsky, I'll give it a fair. I mean, I'm in this space. I'm going to try the book, so I'm going to try all these stories anyway. Where we get into the problem with this anthology style is if we end up liking 2 and hating the other 2 of the stories, and it's like, well, do I want to keep reading that?
This says, it's a 6-part.
Yeah, so which is why I say it's kind of like either all ongoing books just kind of bundled together in a fashion that maybe makes them more financially viable than it would be if they were all doing their own thing. So then the next one is Matthew Rosenberg's story. He's doing Grifters as one of the stories in Future State, and he's picking up where he left off. So that's again what I was talking about, where some of the Future State mini backup stories are continuing in some form. It's not just Which again, it feels like they're really testing the format a little bit here. They're trying something different by having this continue in this way. So Ryan Benjamin joins them, and they learn why Cold Cash is in Gotham in a tale that hints to what Halo might be, and we also get Batman vs Grifter round 2. I have to be honest, I don't know very much about Grifter, so a lot of the words there didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
No, I'm familiar enough from New 52. Yeah, because that was one of the Wildstorm characters they folded in, and yeah, I feel like Halo has something to do with Wildcats, but I'm not sure. But I'm feeling like this younger generation, so the Zdarsky's and the Rosenbergs, kind of grew up with that Wildstorm era, and so they have some, sure, let them work on Grifters.
This is again a thing of, I'm sure Batman will appear here because I mean it says Batman vs Grifter, but it's a Bat sort of world book. This is again much like the last one. This is purely on the strength of the creator rather than caring about the character, which is kind of summing this up here a little bit. Then the third story is Stephanie Phillips, the new Harley Quinn writer from Future State. The next Batman, Laura Braga is going to join her as the artist. This is going to be a Harley Quinn story. Set just before the launch of her new series, Harley's determined to sort out her history with Poison Ivy, but first she'll have to find her. So maybe this one's a bit more up your alley.
Yep. I was like, okay, I can probably skip this unless I hear good. Oh man. Plus, Stephanie Phillips is the hockey-playing Muay Thai writer, so like,
she's your favorite, yeah.
And yeah, I feel indebted. And then I got to this last one. I was like, oh man.
Oh yeah, the last one is definitely the one that's piqued my interest the most, at least from a concept perspective. So, Brandon Thomas, who's doing an Outsider story in Future State, is continuing with the Outsiders. This is a 3-part story, so it's interesting that they're all different sizes. So it'll be interesting to see, like,
rotating.
Yeah, so in like issue 4, you're still going to have like more of the Red Hood story, unfortunately, but you're going to be switching this to something else. So that's kind of interesting. Right. But yeah, so this is going to have Black Lightning, Katana, and Metamorpho in it. Which is cool because obviously Metamorpho is a classic Outsiders character, but obviously we've been seeing him more recently in the Terrifics and whatnot. But this reunion quickly turns into a confrontation with a figure from Katana's past and a story drawn by fan favorite artist Max Dunbar. So, so Outsiders story, I'm pumped. I like the creators on the other ones. So mixed feelings overall, but I'm intrigued by the format. And it's that this is a thing where when we get to issue 5 or 6, when half of these stories have changed over, then what does it look like then? Like maybe all of a sudden it's like even better than it was when it started.
Yeah.
It depends who's on it. It depends. Would you agree that this is maybe better than having like 4 other like Bat books as having just this one? Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like they can it's almost like a showcase to see what works and what doesn't. So if people start, a lot of buzz starts coming up around the Outsiders, that could lead to another Outsiders book.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Or if it doesn't, then it's just a part in an anthology that'll get collected somewhere else. Later,
I mean, yeah, and honestly, this book feels like it's also perfect for when there's like a crossover or an event, and they can just say, "Oh, here's like 4 stories," rather than selling another one shot or another thing. Urban Legends for a month or 2 just becomes like all the stories related to that event.
They could do that, yeah. I mean, and again, it's kind of smart where they kind of shrink. Makes it look like they've shrunk their line, but not really, because there's still, 4 creative teams here. Instead of having 4 books, they're on 1 and it's going slower. So
yeah. So that is Batman Urban Legends issue 1. So we'll see, where that goes. Next up, this was announced during the week, but obviously, by the time we record, we got Solicits. James Tynion's other Bat book turns out to be Joker. Joker issue 1's coming in March. And this is kind of like a weird one because we're like, Joker series, I'm not really feeling it. Especially when you attach Gillen March as the artist, I'm less enthused. The sad part is, though, is that this is obviously going to tie in some way to the main Bat book eventually because it's Tynion writing this, which makes it feel like it might be semi-required, but
not for me. It ain't.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't really want to read it either, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I like Tynion.
I'm not, and then they almost pull me because I do like Tynion, and then when you get to the description, and that's fine. But I'm done with Joker right now. Like I've had from last October to now. I'm done with Joker.
I think a lot of people are going to feel that way.
Yeah.
Sad part is it'll probably sell because it is Joker, but
Well, yeah.
following
Yeah,
the
but-
events of Infinite Frontier issue 1, that's a mistake. It's not issue 1, it's issue 0.
Right.
The Joker is the most wanted man in the world, but the Clown Prince of Crime is several steps ahead of law enforcement, and he's on the run overseas. James Gordon, facing retirement, realizes that this is the manhunt of his life and the last piece of a storied career. But what mysterious and deadly forces are also in pursuit of the Joker? And then the backup, because this is one of the $5 books, the backup is Punchline. Follows on from the Punchline special, issue 1. And so, I mean, it did say at the end of that, and it implied the Harper Row story with her brother was going to be a thing going on. It seems like that's going to be in the backup in Joker.
Which I like that. So I still haven't read the Punchline one shot because I bought it and I was just like, I'm again over this right now. But that said, if this ever gets collected, I'll definitely check this out because Harper Row, and I've been wanting them to do stuff with Harper.
It wasn't
ages.
bad. Connor hated it, but I thought it was not bad.
Again, it's just one of those things where and it's not Tynan's fault, right? The marketing comes from DC, and I'm just tired of seeing Punchline on everything. Yeah. Just because she's not the next Harley, she's her own character. But I just felt like they were trying to make anti-Harley a thing.
I'll give it this. Yeah. I think that if you're going to have a Punchline story like this, being a backup in a Joker book is the perfect place to put your Punchline story. And I will say, I have to admit, I'm kind of intrigued with the idea of Jim Gordon going away from Gotham and just doing a one-man manhunt for Joker.
But him being so close to retirement, I've seen enough movies. I don't like that. So,
it's something about the Jim Gordon saying, "I'm leaving Gotham, so no bat help, no bat, assistance. Right. I'm going to go off and do this as a cop." Is interesting to
me. Can we talk real quick about how everyone loves Frank Whiteley but me? I don't get it. If someone wants to try to educate me on it, but people are talking about how great this Frank Whiteley cover looks, and it just looks ugly to me. I don't get it.
Which one's
if you guys like it, cool.
Which one's the Whiteley cover?
It's if you're on the page, it's the second or the third one.
Right. Okay.
With all the wrinkles and just people.
I've liked some of his art in the past. I'm not necessarily in love with this image, mainly because of all the weird wrinkles in his face. It looks a bit odd to me, but
I don't get it. I know people are into Whiteley, and that's cool. I'm sure he's a nice guy. But I just remember even during when Morrison was writing Batman and he would do covers and stuff, or I think he even did a couple stories.
Yeah, he did art in Batman and Robin for sure.
Yeah, and people were like, "Oh, it looks so great," and I was like, "It's fine." But yeah, that cover people were sharing, and they're like, "Oh, look how great this looks." I was like, "If you say so." I don't get it. But if someone could explain to me what they like about it, then I'm all ears.
So that is Joker issue 1. Next up is Harley Quinn issue 1, naturally. I will say the first cover you see here, which is not the main cover, but there's a very anime looking cover here that I don't like at all. I hate it. I hate it with everything.
Would you rather have that or the Rosmo cover though? You have to pick one.
Honestly, between them, I think the Rosmo cover is less annoying.
Yeah. I'll agree there.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, do I like that anime cover more than the interior Rosmo art? There's a good chance I will, but versus the cover, So Stephanie Phillips writing, Riley Rosmo on the art for this. This is a regular price $4 book. This is not a $5 one. I'll point that out as I go. Then we have something that I did not expect at all. We have a Crime Syndicate miniseries. This is a 6-issue book. Andy Schmidt writing with Kieran McCowan on the art. Or McCowan? I don't know if you pronounce that name. Too many vowels. Too many vowels, Mr. Kieran there. Yeah. So $4 book. This is spin out of Dark Knight's Death Metal. The Multiverse is Reborn and Earth 3 with it. So I kind of even before I read the rest of this. So basically, what I'm guessing here before I read any more is that so here's what Earth 3 is now. Everything's reset. Here's what Earth 3 is.
And that goes back with the Owlman story that we got in one of those that he knows that in everything he's always the evil version.
Yeah, that was really good actually. I really liked that story. His motivations in that issue were really good.
Yeah, and so this plays in with this that he was proven right. That there's always going to be an Owlman on Earth 3. Yeah. And that's the dark version. That is the dark version of Batman, not the Batman Who Laughs. So
Yeah.
I like how that kind of foreshadowed this a little bit.
You know, this obviously just kind of has to win us with issue 1. I think we'll give it a try, and either...
Yeah, this is my speed.
Yeah.
I love multiverse shenanigans and Dark Justice League. You know, I'll definitely be checking this one out. And it helps that it's, 32 pages with the backup, I guess.
No backup?
Yeah, because it's got a backup for the Origin of Ultraman.
Oh, well, okay.
So I'm sure maybe each of the 6 issues will have a origin of...
Yeah. Well, in this case, it means the main story is shorter than normal then, because it's a regular size book, regular price and all that. But yeah, I'll give it a try. It's one of these things where, like, if it's good, then I'm happy to keep reading it for 6 issues, and if it's not, it seems like it's something that I can easily go, well, okay, I'll just ignore it now then, because it's a mini series.
Yeah, I like here that it. I read another one where they were talking about the difference in the Green Lanterns, is that there's a more John Stewart-y Green Lantern in this as Power Ring, but he goes by a different name. I think it's Emerald Knight or something.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I like that they're changing things just enough.
Yeah, they've got an Atom here built in the cover.
Atomica, which we saw in, if you remember Johns' run on Justice League way back in New 52.
I read it, but
yeah, but we had, that's where I remember seeing that character first.
So curious. Yeah. Then the Suicide Squad ongoing that's starting from issue 1. Come March. Regular price. This is Robbie Thompson and Eduardo Pansica. I'll give it a try. I'm not really expecting much from this. I feel like I was obviously all on board with a Tom Taylor Suicide Squad. With this, it's just kind of like, I'll give it a try. I'm not expecting to, because other than Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad, I have never stuck with Suicide Squad ever. Yeah,
me neither. And this, although this one has, I think it's Deathbolt or something. He's at the electrical powers, which I haven't seen him since the days of Titans way back in the day. So that's cool. And then you got Peacemaker.
I mean, them trying to recruit a Talon is kind of an interesting concept, but
yeah,
we'll see. And then we got something that was kind of a surprise this week as well, which is Superman Red and Blue, which is essentially the Superman companion to Batman Black and White.
Yep.
So anthology style, $6, 40 pages, all of the art in red and blue, although technically also white as well. I mean,
yeah, you have to have some grays in there to make it go, but
yes. So
that Gary Frank cover. Oh,
hello, I've not seen the Gary. Oh yeah, it's very nice. So very pretty stuff. So much like Batman Black and White, this is going to be a series of different teams doing short stories. So we got John Ridley, Wes Craig, Brandon Easton, Dan Waters, and Margaret Bennett on the writing teams. Clayton Henry, Wes Craig, Steve Lieber, Danny, and Jill Thompson on the art teams. So, admittedly, like the Batman one, like I only really liked one of the stories, and it basically convinced me not to bother reading, at least not as single issues. Maybe as a sort of curiosity later on, I'll dig into the rest of them. So, I mean, I'll probably try the first one of these. I don't expect I'm going to want to read this monthly though, just because it's going to be all these little shorts.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to pick up the first one. I might be just better to get when it's all collected.
Yeah.
Right, and then you can just kind of read it as it goes. But I'm gonna have to get that Frank cover.
Hey, if they keep doing Frank covers, you're probably gonna end up buying all of them. I'm just gonna.
that could be. But just the way that this is, with the sky blue and the red, and it just pops and it looks great. But no, I'm glad Superman's getting one of these. Like, this is really cool news. I was not expecting the slightest.
I don't even know what you do for like Wonder Woman Gold and.
Yeah, you can't do gold though. Hers would have to be like, I mean, you could do a red with her too. Like,
it has to be red and gold. Yeah, it has to be different from Superman's. So I don't know. Green Lantern, green and black, I actually think would look quite cool. But I mean,
and all the different shades of green you got working in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe my most anticipated book for March, in a lot of ways, is the start of the Swamp Thing. Not just Swamp Thing, this Swamp Thing, issue 1. Ram V. Wright and Mike Perkins on the art. It's a 10-issue book, which is cool. They know it's got a beginning, middle, and end. That front cover, I assume that's the variant. The Matina variant is absolutely gorgeous. It makes me think of, it's like a very Swamp Thing version. You know the classic Hulk cover where Banner's standing in front of Hulk? It's like a Hulk issue 1 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but more demented because it's Swamp Thing.
They're definitely leaning into the supernatural side of Swamp Thing, which we've kind of we've gotten away from at times, where we've gotten the ecologically driven Swampy. This definitely seems like it's leaning into the supernatural darkness.
Hell, even the regular covers reminded me of that Hulk cover a little bit. Which is also very nice. I love the classic font. It feels very old school in a lot of ways, which I like. Dealing with the shadows of Swamp Thing. I'll read the prefaces actually because I've not read the Solicit yet. So unable to control his transformation into the monstrous Swamp Thing. Wait, hold on, there's a new character? Oh yeah, Levi.
You skipped over it.
Yeah, I skipped over that. I assumed it was talking about the artist or something like that. Right? No, not at all. So yeah, Levi Kamai is the new Swamp Thing. So Levi is thrust into the harsh, unforgiving mystery of the grisly murders committed by a supernatural desert legend. Levi must revisit past events in his homeland of India and face the deadly reality of a ravenous new villain in order to comprehend what he is truly and horrifyingly becoming. A new era of global action and horror blossoms here, and Swamp Thing will be the root of it. Do you know what? I keep comparing this to Hulk, but this really feels like it's going to be there in the Immortal Hulk sort of
could be
answer.
And, DC's never had a response to Hulk. Like they've tried with other characters and it's just never been there. Why not try Swamp Thing?
Yeah, I think Swamp Thing kind of makes sense. And what's funny is that Marvel have their answer to Swamp Thing and Man Thing, which is getting a new book too.
Yeah,
but
that's Man Thing.
But it's just kind of funny to me. There's like a whole cycle to this where it goes down the ladder.
Have you and Tim covered the Man Thing movie on Screams?
There's a Man Thing movie?
Oh yeah, there was a sci-fi movie on the network Sci-Fi.
Yeah, that
was a horror Man Thing that was way bad. Like, you guys might want to add it as an incentive next October.
Oh geez,
yeah,
I'm a little scared to even.
Those who know fear know the burn of the Man Thing. Rough times.
A little concerned about that, but I'm super pumped. I Ram via Catwoman more than that today as well. Has been grown on me immensely as a writer.
He also adjusts the rumors that he is the fifth Ram. So I was always right calling him Ram 5.
Yes.
That's good.
So that's the Swamp Thing. Really, really cool. Perkins is perfect for it as well. Then Teen Titans Academy issue 1. Again, we knew this was coming. Tim Sheridan writing, Rafa Sandoval in the art. I have no opinion on Tim Sheridan whatsoever, so I hope this is good because I'd like a good Teen Titans book.
Yep, but I do like Rafa Sandoval. So,
I do, yeah. And obviously they're doing that. I mean, sometimes, Teen Titans in the 80s was very much supposed to answer X-Men.
Yeah.
That's why the new Teen Titans kind of got that big relaunch that it did. But this feels like more of a modern. This feels like your Wolverine, the X-Men, or any of the other Academy set books of the last decade.
It's my favorite X-Men of the last couple of years. Like, I'm not counting All New Wolverine, and that side,
sure,
because that's fantastic. But as the team goes, Wolverine and the X-Men was by far my favorite X-Men of the last 20 years. So I can definitely get behind this, especially as you have the new Teen Titans coming in as teachers, like the OG.
Yeah, that is amazing. Yeah, because just to read the text here, we have a new Shazam, or just Shazam.
Yeah, so it's got to be all the kids, right?
Yeah,
like it's got to be all of them.
A new Australian speedster, which is probably the one on the big 2-page cover for Infinite Frontier.
Yeah.
A trio of Gotham teens who are obsessed with Batman.
Goth. Yeah, goth with quotes around him.
True, yes.
So that was pretty great.
Nice little detail. And a member of this first class will become the Deadly Red X. Original New Teen Titans, including Nightwing, Starfire, Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy, take on the role of teachers and mentors for the. Yeah, that sounds like a fantastic premise. I hope this lands because it sounds perfect if it does.
I'm definitely gonna pick up the first issue physically because Titans got me into book comics, right? It was like Flash, Batman, Superman, and Titans. So like I'm kind of compelled. But then you're gonna add this really cool concept.
Honestly, after the disappointment of what could have been Bendis' Young Justice, I would love for this to be a gem and be like a surprise hit. I really would.
That said, as I was reorganizing my comics this week and putting stuff in the garage, I have really good feelings about that Young Justice, but they're more in that what could have been, where it feels like everything's kind of scattershot. When you look back at his, that he kind of had a plan with these newer heroes he was introducing, but it started weighing itself down in the mud, and he couldn't get to some of that stuff. And
see,
so who knows why?
I'll put it this way, Matt, because you weren't here for the last issue.
Yeah.
That final issue, if I didn't know it was the final issue, I would never have guessed it was the end. There was like, oh, clearly this was not actually ending. This was just cancelled.
Right. And that's why I look back at it and I go, I liked a lot of those issues.
Yeah, individually, a lot of them are quite good, but it's just there was no flow to it. Like, it was so all over the place.
And I was talking with a friend on Twitter this week about Action Comics, how it just kind of got bogged down by, almost like when Naomi showed up. And I love that character and I love that series, but Action kind of lost its identity for a minute there. And then JR came on in the art, and it was just...
And no matter how much the story might actually be good, the art keeps ruining it every single time.
Yep. So,
speaking of Superman, though, Superman issue 29, we got our new, creator who's going to be on this, and Action. So it's the same writer on both, which
I'm a little sour about, because I want different creative outlets, right, for the books. Like I don't want Action to feel like the backup to Superman or vice versa. And I feel like that's when Bendis had both of them. They would trade. Like, one had more importance than the other. So if you could make them, have their own identities, that would be cool. And maybe Philip Kennedy Johnson can do that.
Maybe he will in time. It is worth mentioning this first month, it's actually a 2-part story. Part 1's in Superman and Part 2 is in Action. So it's literally a 2-part story in this case. So they're essentially just a continuation of each other. But yeah, so Philip Kennedy Johnson writing with Phil Hester and Eric Gapster on the art. So, and then we have Action Comics 1029, which is Philip Kennedy Johnson with Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad. Sorry. Art by Phil Hester. Oh, same artist, actually. It's the same team on both of the main stories. I was jumping to the backups there. And both have backups. Superman and Action both have backups. So the Superman backup is Tales of Metropolis.
Yeah. Yes? They both are. They're both Tales of Metropolis.
Oh yeah, Batman and Detective are doing this as well in the first month, and maybe future as well, where the backups are actually going to like cross over between them. So if you like the backup story, you're kind of incentivized to buy the other one.
As someone that doesn't buy tech right now, because I'm not reading tech, seeing who's working on that backup makes me very salty.
Yeah, but you've seen the new main team on tech as well, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to get less stuff, Pete.
Yeah, but you're going to read it still.
Maybe.
It's Tamaki Tech. Come on, you're going to read it.
I know. Come on. So what's this Action about? I'm just saying.
Okay. What's this Action about? Well, hold on.
No. I meant the Tales of Metropolis.
Oh, okay.
That was on the Action page.
Yeah. So writer Sean Lewis, who worked on one of the stories in Future State, and artist Sam Basri from Harley Quinn follows Jimmy Olsen on a quest to meet some of the city's most colorful denizens, beginning... Of course you like it. Of course you like this.
Bibbo!
Of course. Of course Matt's all over the Bibbo. So cool. And just the main story for the record, this and Superman in Action, which feels also important.
Yes.
It's called The Golden Age. Jonathan Kent takes a step back to examine his father's legacy. When a monstrous foe from outer space attacks Clark and nearly kills him, the young hero must consider the fact that his father died once before, and the Legion of Superheroes told him he could die again. Any threat could be the one, including this one. I think it's interesting that this writer Johnson here is immediately going to let's look at it through the eyes of John Kent. That feels like there's a bit of a vision there. I'm hoping at least going forward. So we'll see. But that said, though, for all we know, this could just be a 2-issue fill-in thing, and then in April we're going to have the new real team.
and Philip Kennedy Johnson's also doing the John book for Future State.
Yes.
So I'm sure this ties into that a little bit.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but no, this is real cool. But yeah, I just kind of wish we had different. Maybe we will going forward. I don't know. Maybe someone will take over and Philip Kennedy Johnson's just doing this right here. Yeah,
maybe he'll just keep one of them and the other one will switch. Or I mean, now that it's not double, now that nothing's double shipping, like it makes a bit more sense to have one writer on both. But you know, it is what it is. having the backups connect them. I mean, in this case, the main story connects them too. But when we get to Batman and Detective here, which we're on to next, Batman 106. Obviously, Tynan's run is continuing. This does have a backup, which is crossing over into the. So this is the same backup. Part 2 of this is in Detective 1034, which is also next. This is called Demon or Detective, and it's about Damian Wayne, and he's on the run. After everything Damian has gone through, can he escape Gotham and find his way back to where his journey started, to his mother, Talia al Ghul? So that's the 2-part backup over the 2 issues. But of course, the main
kid, he's so much trouble.
By the way, that main Batman, that Batman 106 cover is gorgeous. The main one with the yellow background.
It reminds me when Albuquerque was doing Batgirl. With the purples and the yellow.
Similar.
Like it looks really good.
And plus, I mean, that is a really cool interpretation of Scarecrow in that cover as well. It's really demonic looking. I'm into it.
Yeah.
So, despite not loving everything with recent Batman issues, because I'm not really a fan of Ghostmaker, I'm still excited for Tynan's direction.
Can't wait to talk about this issue.
We go. Yeah, still starts. So then, of course, Detective Comics 1034, which is Tamaki now on the book with Dan Mora. And I'm a big fan of Dan Mora as well. I'm a big fan of both these creators, so I am super pumped for this. So future state may be over, but the present looks tense with the loss of his fortune and manor, the election of Mayor Nakano, and the growing anti-vigilante sentiment in Gotham. Bruce Wayne must rethink how to be Batman or risk being left behind in his own city. To make matters worse, a catastrophe crime wave has taken hold of the city, culminating in a murder mystery that hits close to home. The suspects mount, the clues multiply, and the trail of bodies hasn't ended yet. So that's your description for the main story there. So yeah, I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this team because Dan Mora I mostly discovered from the Firefly comic book, and Tamaki, of course, I've been loving most of her work for a long time.
I know you're kind of not big on magic kind of stories, but how are you on Morrison? Because I know you're not a big fan of the big sci-fi Green Lantern Morrison.
Morrison, I'm basically 50-50 with Morrison.
Okay.
Arkham Asylum is one of my favorite things ever.
Right.
I really like his Batman and Robin. I've been enjoying Animal Man so far, which I've
then if you have time with all your readings and stuff, and I know you do Patreon stuff, I would track down Klaus, which is the story of Santa. That is a very Grant Morrison take on the Legend of Santa, but it's got Dan Mora art, and the art is just fantastic.
As a seasonal read.
Yeah, and I mean, there's monsters. There's there might be a Krampus-like monster in there that Klaus has to come in, but it's really good. I found it as I was organizing, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to reread this. This was a fantastic read. And then having Dan Mora on Batman again, like I'm trying to do less stuff, and then they go and pull this with tech, and then I was like, well, I could just get it in trade, and then you're gonna put Williamson on a Damian book, and I'm just. Well, a book backup, but
keep in mind though, much less books in March, so I mean they're actually doing a lot of the job for you.
Tell that to my comic collection, Pete. Like, where am I gonna put all of these?
I thought you were going to say tell that to my wife.
No, because now it's at the point where it's on me that I can't just blame her. And going like, well, you need to spend less. Well, technically I am spending less, but I'm running out of room. But I guess digitally I could, but the collector in me is like, yeah, but what if when we go back to normal, Dan Mora and Tamaki are doing a signing? I'd want them to sign this, I hate my brain.
Next up, Batman Superman 16. I'll be honest, I'm kind of shocked this one survived into March. I really thought it was going to just go away, but
yeah, but at the same time, it's not like the other ones.
Yeah, right? I mean, this is a $4 book. It's regular size. Jean Lun Yang's continuing it. Williamson's off the book. We got art by Ivan Reis and Danny Miki. The variant cover, I think, is quite pretty, I will say, by Greg Smallwood. So, yeah, I'm just surprised this survived. I guess just because it's called Batman Superman, it sells well enough that they wanted to keep it around.
Well, and, there's all this talk about out-of-continuity storytelling coming now after a future state, and as we've seen, that's not exactly true. But this one's definitely is true because this is Golden Age Superman and Batman. It's all very that I don't want to say pulp because there's a certain listener that gets annoyed when I bring up pulp, but it's got a very pulpy
Pulp.
Yeah. It's got a very pulpy look to this, and I'm gonna get this.
Yeah.
This is one I'm definitely reading.
Yeah, the variant that I said I liked is actually like Superman's holding up a car and Batman's sort of doing the pose from, you know, Detective 27. So it's very intentionally kind of evoking those images, although it's a bit more updated and modern looking, obviously. So that's that. Catwoman 29 gets to continue, which I'm very happy about because I'm enjoying it. More on that later. It's not so much to say, really. The Flash 768. Now, this is an interesting one because we were kind of waiting to see who was going to be next on this, and the cover does have, you know, Jay, and it looks like Bart, and I think that's meant to be Wally right behind Barry, but it's hard to tell because the head's tilted back a lot.
Yeah.
I just assume it is because the other two are clearly the other two Flashes, so I assume that has to be Wally. So this is going to be by Jeremy Adams, who I have to admit, I don't know.
Me neither.
Don't know who that is. Brandon Peterson writing. This is a regular price $4 book. Here's the description of the text. The retirement of Wally West begins after the events spanning from DC Universe Rebirth to Heroes in Crisis to Dark Knight's Death Metal. The former Kid Flash decides to call it quits, but the current Flash needs his former partner now more than ever. As fallout from Infinite Frontier hits the Flash, Barry Allen and Wally West must confront the past by way of a Justice League led by Green Arrow. So, more on that in a minute. But, I mean, I'm glad that Wally's taking center stage, and people might think you're not worried that this is about the retirement of Wally West. Like, no, because even if he retires for a year, he's going to put the suit back on before long. This is fine. The fact that they're even going to focus on him as he's wrestling with this decision is just a good thing. So,
I mean, yeah, he's back in the spotlight.
Yes. So that pleases me. But yeah, I have no idea who this creator is.
So I just pulled him up, and according to League of Comic Geeks, he's writing the Superman Worlds of War Future State books.
Interesting.
So yeah, so that's all that came up.
Hopefully we like that then. So then we'll maybe look forward to this a bit more. I will. So we'll see if interestingly, Flash has a new logo.
Mm-hmm.
When I say logo, I mean just like the font on the cover. It's like a different style of text. It's different because it was basically the same, at least all the way from Rebirth onwards, maybe even all the way back to New 52. But it's very neon, and it's just a different font and all that. Whereas Catwoman still looks the same as far as her font goes. So yeah, is this the new run on the Flash, or is this just an arc? Is this just like a writer they've got in to do an arc that's tying into other things before we get a proper run again? I have no idea. There's very little fanfare, and there was no announcement of this on its own that I'm not sure. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it's good though. I mean, I like the sound of what it's focusing on, so neat. So the next big thing, of course, is the new creative team on Justice League, and this is a biggie. So Justice League 59, they're not renumbering it. It's continuing where it is. This is Bendis' new book. He is the Justice League writer. Art at least starting off with, and it's monthly now, so maybe it will be consistent. But art is yeah. I
was gonna say, only took how many years now for Bendis to get his hands on the Justice League?
Yeah, true. David Marquez is his artist on the main story. As I said earlier, the backup to this, because it is a $5 book, is Justice League Dark by Ram V and Zermanico, which immediately means that I'll give that another try, and Connor will probably not read it because it's attached to a Bendis book now. The big stuff here, though, is the lineup for the team, which is some expected faces and some not expected faces. We have Green Arrow and Black Canary there, along with Black Adam, who was mentioned in the other solicit text, and Naomi is there. Really interesting. There is no Green Lantern. There is no there's actually no Flash on the cover, but I don't know if that's because
no, he's in there though.
He's in there though, yeah. Okay.
He's in the font.
I wonder
the paragraph description. There we go. Nailed it.
That was about as far as nailing it as humanly possible.
Yeah, that's why I said that, because it's funny.
So, do you know what's funny? I glanced out at the text, right? and I saw the name Miles Morales and went, wait, what? And I was like, oh, they're just saying what Marquez has worked on. It's fine.
That's where Marquez came from.
I was getting really confused. I was like, wait, what, hon? This is bigger news than I thought. If Miles Morales is in the new Justice League, we get some big news to talk about. So get Superman, Batman, The Flash, Hawkgirl, Aquaman, Hippolyta. Notably Hippolyta and not Diana. And Diana might be elsewhere in the multiverse. We'll get to that when we get to Wonder Woman. And Black Adam's there, and obviously Naomi's obviously quite notable. Bendis bringing her in there.
Yeah, seeing Hippolyta and Black Adam as I'm reading Endless Winter, I'm like, this is gonna matter more than we think. So that's
very
pretty
possibly. Cool. I mean, if nothing else, like the idea of their history and maybe like their relationship and the tension between them is set up from Endless Winter.
That's what I mean. Like the fact that they have a relationship, because when we get there, that's kind of where we leave off this week. So, and then just seeing that in the Solicits, I thought it was pretty cool synergy.
Yep. So, the plot does involve Naomi's homeworld. So, whether or not she sticks around after the plot doesn't relate to her anymore, we'll wait and see. Hopefully, this has a clear direction. Hopefully, Bendis is on top form. I think he was in parts with his Superman run, but it definitely faltered at places. Young Justice, not so much. So I hope this is more what I want from Bendis.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the backup is Justice League Dark, as mentioned. Probably the other big, most anticipated thing after the Swamp Thing, in a lot of ways, is Nightwing 78, because the new team on Nightwing officially announced this week is our Lord and Savior, Tom Taylor.
Yep, Agent Saint.
With Bruno Redondo, who's also one of the artists from Suicide Squad, which is also very good news, are taking over Nightwing, and that main cover is absolutely gorgeous.
Yep.
Just the big blue, logo on his chest, plain white background, but the city's inside the logo. Oh, it's wonderful. I'm
excited.
Yeah, he got a new font as well, actually, now I'm looking at it. So Nightwing is back, and his drive to keep Bloodhaven safe has never been stronger. But his adopted city has elected a new mayor with the last name Zuko. Oh boy. When Nightwing enlists Batgirl's help to investigate the politician bearing the same name as the man who murdered his parents, she unearths details that will shock and fundamentally change the hero. Babs is going to be a part of this book. She's going to be a supporting character in Nightwing, and honestly, give me it. Give me all this.
So Taylor brought up, he goes, I've killed him twice before, but I think he's safe. That was what I was getting from. And I was like, oh no, is he teasing that we're going to go 3 for 3?
Oh, I better not.
Yeah, right. But I do love that Taylor could poke fun at us fans.
And Taylor loves the history of DC, so I think, regardless of what he's allowed to do or what the plans are, I think his heart will be in the right place with the Dick and Babs interactions and their relationship.
And just that Alfred Father's Day story, right? Like that he did. There's a care to it. Someone was like, "Please tell me you're writing Justice League," before all the news came out, because he was teasing, and he said, "Not yet." So again, like there's stuff.
It's inevitable.
Not necessarily that's confirmation, right? But maybe one day was the context. So.
Honestly, I mean, I wasn't really thinking about it beforehand, but really thinking about it now, this is probably one of the dream characters to put Taylor on. So this is nothing but a win. This is a regular $4 book for the record, no backup on this one. So
again, sound like a broken record going through my books, that Nightwing just stops at a certain point, and it makes me sad.
It stops at issue 50. It stops at issue 50, and then it'll start again at 78. That's what's going to happen.
Because I, moving stuff around, looking, I was just like, man, this makes me sad.
It doesn't sound so bad when you put it that way. It was 28 issues of a gap. That doesn't sound that bad, but it's like over 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, because it did stop double shipping before that change happened, for the record. Before anyone corrects me. Wonder Woman 770, $5 book with a backup. Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad writing, Travis Moore on the art. Backup's Jordi Belair.
Looks like I'm getting Wonder Woman again, because this cover is exactly my... When I say get it again, I mean physically.
Yes.
This is why I have issues buying stuff. But yeah,
I mean, you buy comics, you have issues. Yes, literally.
Yes, I do. A lot of issues. 30 boxes of issues.
So let me read this because this is obviously interesting. What is happening? That is literally the first sentence of this. Actually, it's the first three sentences because it's all separate sentences for each word. Wonder Woman just woke up in the middle of a battle with rampaging hordes of mythological beasts bearing down on her. Not even the princess of the Amazons can survive such an assault, but that's okay. It's just another day in Valhalla. Oh God, Matt's in heaven. Or Valhalla, I suppose. What do I say? The warriors here spend their days fighting and their nights drinking. And if they die in combat, they'll be resurrected in time for the party. Strange, tough, that no one seems surprised to see Wonder Woman in this crowd. It's up to Diana to figure out where things are going wrong in the sphere of the gods, and whether it has anything to do with what landed her in the Norse afterlife. So yeah, they're doing Wonder Woman as Thor in a lot of ways here.
It's Wonder Woman in the Viking stuff, and with her being like almost ascending to the sphere of the gods in the multiverse, tells me that she's key to whatever ends in death metal, and I'm wondering if this is something that's kind of left over from generations.
Which isn't surprising given like where issue 6 is ending and everything's been built into, but yeah.
Right, but like when we, the Snyder story of Wonder Woman being the first, superhero to come out.
It definitely sounds like Wonder Woman for 6 months, a year, maybe a bit more, is going to be away from everyone else. She's going to be on her own, in the sphere of the gods, whatever.
Yes.
The backup story, you may know her as Wonder Woman, but once upon a time she was just Diana of Themyscira, a young girl struggling through her adolescence on the shores of a mysterious island. Brought to you by Eisner Award-winning Jordi Belair and fan favorite artist Paul Ganicho. I'm going to say that, or Ganichu.
Sure.
Yes, whatever. So it's just a young Diana story as the backup, which it's maybe less adventurous than some of the other backups where they're doing other characters, but whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Wonder Woman 770. I will mention here Sensational Wonder Woman issue 1, which I was excited about when I saw it because I thought, they're finally doing a second Wonder Woman book. They're doing the detective action style Wonder Woman book. They're not really. It's just a collection of a digital first that's already coming out digitally first. So less exciting than it was. It's Stephanie Phillips with
Dr. Psycho.
I mean, that's cool.
That's exciting. Yeah. I didn't realize this was a digital first. I'm sure people saw my face drop because I thought the same thing. Finally.
Yeah, I thought finally they're doing the second Wonder Woman book. They're doing, because it's not quite Sensation Comics, but the name is Sensational Wonder Woman issue 1 sounds like, this is their spiritual successor to that title. And no, it's not. Well, it kind of is, but in a different way. But hey ho, that doesn't mean it won't be good, of course. It just means that it's maybe less of a priority for us. So unfortunately, they've put a couple of graphic novels before I get to the other books, because we got American Vampire 1976 issue 6. We got Batman Black and White issue 4. I'm speeding through some of these ones because they're less interesting. Batman Catwoman issue 4, of course, is very relevant, and we'll be definitely digging into that come the month.
So this is the first time I'm seeing this one, and just the text. The Joker's hitting a bomb in Gotham, and all I can think of is Connor from that issue of Batman being upset that the art didn't match properly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Batman The White Knight presents Harley Quinn issue 6 is coming out. Batman vs Ra's al Ghul issue 5, which is the Neil Adams one. The Dreaming
Solicit.
Yes, The Dreaming Waking Hours issue 8. Green Lantern season 2 issue 12. Just all these other, all these non-main continuity books continuing. Joker Harley Criminal Sanity issue 8, Looney Tunes 259, Mad Magazine 19. I'm going still because there is more relevant books. Man Bat issue 2, for example, is relevant. This is the 5-issue mini, so that's continuing. The Other History of the DC Universe issue 3 is out in March, so that's cool. Rorschach issue 6 is out in March. More in issue 2, or issue 3 rather, later.
Yeah.
Strange Adventures issue 9. So this is your Black Label and such section. Sweet Tooth The Return issue 5. Truth and Justice issue 2, which is DC's anthology by Brandon Easton and Noy Lindsay on this particular issue at least. I have to admit, I don't remember this in the last Solicits. I don't remember issue 1.
And look at the last Solicits. So
yeah, because you weren't here.
Yeah, so...
But hey, there you go. That's March Solicits.
Yep.
We spent a lot of time on that because I think it was worth going through that one in a bit more detail. But the key thing is here, there is a lot less individual books to buy. Some of them are a bit bigger and pricier, but there is a lot less to actually buy week to week. When I actually looked at the week by week breakdown, like I think the busiest week is like 7 books, and I don't mean for us, I mean total out of DC's mainline continuity.
Right.
And Black Label stuff. There's like 7 or 8 books total for like
Also,
the busiest week.
Yeah. Also, I noticed no Legion, so I might be able to pack up that box sooner than I thought.
Yeah, Bendis is doing a Legion Future State thing, unless that's at the ending of his run.
Yeah,
Maybe it
that's
is.
what I'm thinking maybe. Which has Rosmo art, which I could probably just like let's be honest. But yeah, so interesting.
No, it's a curious time. It's nice to have a little bit of excitement and sort of go into a new phase and be like, okay, what are they doing now? What's happening? And obviously there's a lot of characters who, I did wish had some sort of books. I wish there was a good Batgirl book. I wish there was. I thought there would be something with Supergirl because she has that 2-issue mini in Future State.
But like you said, they might be holding off on some announcements.
They might be
waiting to see how this goes.
Could be a wave 2. They could be backup stories that start in the next couple of months after this all launches. It's honestly hard to say. I will say though, if these backups let them rotate in and out some of these smaller characters that don't get their full own books anymore, so that they're consistently coming back every 6 to 8 months, and we're never like forgetting them for too long, that would be nice for a lot of those characters. So. That's cool. Your mic's going, I think, Matt. Actually, I had the briefest of clicks there. So there you go. That is the solicits for March. It is interesting time for sure. Be sure to let us know what you think of the new strategy with the books. So I mean, I will say this because I was looking at January, February. January, February is a very expensive couple of months, but March brings it right back down. Comparatively, but when I actually compared the numbers, like March is much lower. So, how long that'll last, how it'll work, we'll see. But there is some things to be happier about.
I definitely think that that DC is adjusting really well, and that's something that they've done well since I would say New 52. Because New 52, they were real dead set on having 52 titles all the time. But then I would say since Rebirth, they're really good at adjusting on the fly, and the whole Black Label. Remember when we thought Black Label was going away, and it just kind of changed what the designation was. So seeing them do this with a little bit more anthologies, or getting rid of the double shipping and bringing in backups, that's real smart.
Yeah. I think it's something like 30-something titles total, and that's including like Black Label and stuff. So, we'll see how this works for them. I think it's really easy to be mad. See, if you just read a couple of books and you're mad that they're going from $45, I get why at face value that seems really bad at first, but I think if you're more like us and you're buying like a pile of books every week, and you're looking at the totals, it's actually much less come March. So, admittedly, maybe you're getting not as much for your money as you did before. I'd have to sit down and really weigh that up, but at the very least, there is some benefits. So we'll see.
Yeah.